Hello, welcome. You're watching BW Auto World. I am Utkarsh Agarwal. But the electric vehicle sales in India has increased by 174%. And as the number grows, there will be a more requirement of EV charging infrastructure. And there are many companies that are foraying into this segment. One such company is EzUrja, and the founders of EzUrja has been joined together with us, Mr. Ashhok Kapoor and Mr. Satinder Singh. Thank you so much for joining us on BW Auto World.
Thank you for having us.
So I'll begin with you asking you if you can explain our viewers what is EzUrja and how was it born and what does it stand for?
So EzUrja started as actually started as an easy for EV because we were looking at electric vehicle charging basically. One of our partners and investors is a cell manufacturer in New York. It's called C4V. And we wanted to see how to utilize those cells in India. And these are lithium-ion cells. One of the projects that we thought about was a mobile EV charging solution. Because basically the problem right now is the last mile, the infrastructure does not exist for EV car owners. And we wanted to see how we can mitigate that. And we came up with this solution of a mobile charger. And in our search, we found, we wanted a particular charging solution since we are going to be charging cars from battery backup. It's a mobile solution, so we have to charge our battery, then charge the cars. We didn't want to put an AC charger because there'll be too many losses. So right now, whatever you have in the market are AC to DC chargers. We wanted a DC to DC charger. And we found that there is no DC to DC charger in the country or available around anywhere, even in China and other places. So we decided to develop our own DC to DC charger. And in the last, you can say 1.5, 2 years, we have done R&D and developed our own DC to DC charger. But while doing that, our AC to DC charger also came alive because the product is quite similar. So our AC to DC charger also came alive, which is the static chargers. And we've also, went through the process of certifications and everything, and we found that we are the only ones who are actually producing an end-to-end solution for charging in India. Everybody else, main heart of the charger is a power module. Everybody else that we know of in India so far imports the power module. Ours is a localized product. We've done R&D. It's a make in India product. So our charge is almost 78% Indian content. And that's how our company came alive, and that's how we came into the market.
So when you say end-to-end charging solution, what do you mean by that? Can you explain that?
End-to-end in the sense, what I mean is the product end-to-end is an Indian product. It's not brought from, it's not a CKD or brought here and assembled, but it is actually manufactured in India.
So while we have a product that we are manufacturing, to add to the end-to-end, we actually have our own CPO. So while we are the manufacturers and providing the Indian market with the product, which is manufactured locally, we fortunately have an existing network of approximately 80 odd service centers across the country. So for us to ensure that we are able to keep up uptime for the chargers for our clients is something that is already existing with us. And one of the things that we have done, because we are aware about the product that we have made, we have increased our warranties that we are providing on the product. Usually the market was working at 1 year. It is now getting upgraded to 3 years. We actually have gone ahead and provided an option to go up to 5 years of warranty. So there are some product add-ons that we are looking upon, and obviously the software has been developed for the servicing. So when I say end-to-end, as Sati was talking about, I think we have the entire bandwidth to do these sales and provide the chargers, while we also have the bandwidth to function as a CPO. Given the space availability, the installation of the chargers also can be provided. And hence, keeping in mind we've done some expansions with regards to development of the EV corridors in the country.
Also, we have our own app for our EV chargers.
So you spoke about your network strength around 80 EV charging stations. So what cities are you operational in currently?
I think they're all the main cities across the country we have, and that comes from the background of actually supplying one of the major aspects and the strength that we had was the Indian Railway supplies that we were doing. And coming from there is how we have been able to dwell upon our capability of the electrical and electronic systems. Is the reason that the entire focus of the past 1.5 years was only to do with R&D. We were not interested in doing the import of the products and establishing our businesses over here. Very early, we had taken a call that we would like to develop our own and depend upon our own product to go to the market rather than do the imported requirements, which actually had a very big variability of supplies and issues, which is what we were trying to get over. So that successfully has been done by us. Hence the 80 places that we are talking to you about, where the servicing to the Indian Railways already is being done, they are going to get extended to these clients that who are going to come in for us.
You spoke about the major cities in India, but how do you look at the tier 2 and tier 3 cities market? Do you see people adopting electric vehicles over there too sometime?
So I think if you go back to the India map, the government of India actually had initiated a certain process in all the state capitals to initiate the development of the EV infrastructure. And I think as we have seen the main cities today, it's a demand and supply factor, which obviously is the major market trust. I think the first perspective that happened was the initial push by the government to support the EV procurement by the individuals. The fleet system, the bus systems, everything is slowly and steadily actually changing. And as the main cities have grown for adoption, automatically the peripherals are now coming in. And that's how the network growth is building it up. While we have a very small charger network in this country compared to what we are actually looking forward to. But the biggest and the best news is that the two-wheelers adoption and the three-wheeler adoption has been amazing with regards to the changeover from the IC engines to the electricals. So I think this shift is obviously bringing in the perspective. We have more vehicles now in a four-wheeler category, which were not there. And I think with this shift that we are experiencing, obviously we are experiencing the growth of transportability and mobility, and hence the growth is expected to happen across. So we are looking forward to that barriers being broken very soon.
Mr. Singh, you also spoke about the mobile EV chargers. So we've usually seen the stations, the EV charging stations. So how does this concept work?
So mobile EV charger, which will be launching very shortly, is going to be so we have a hub where it can be charged, and depending on the city and location and the end use, the battery size can be planned. So it can be from 50 kilowatt hour to 100 or 200 kilowatt hours, and we can put a 60 kilowatt charger or maybe even a 30 kilowatt, depending on the end usage, and that can be charged either at a hub or at any other CCS2 compatible charging point, and that can be mobilized to any place in the city as desired. We are talking to a few bus fleets for providing them with this kind of an option. They're very open to it. They're very eagerly looking for our product to come alive. So that is where we are looking at right now.
And what is the cost of charging in one EV for?
I think in the delivery to door exercise that we are looking upon, given the perspective of an individual client as a charger or a fleet, the rates are bound to be different. But giving you an average in all these high-speed chargings are varying in between 25 to 30 rupees. I think we are trying to position ourselves in the competitive edge, and that's what the introduction is going to be.
So from both of you, I would want to understand your perspectives on the electric mobility market. So how do you see electric mobility as the newer technologies like hydrogen, ethanols are also coming in, and the government is also pushing for that. So how do you see these markets?
So, Utkarsh, the issue is we need to be realistic. In the aspect of the established network of the IC engine support systems, which was the fuel distribution system that has developed over so many years in the country, we are actually looking at evolution at a very fast stage. All technologies are bound to bring in a newer perspective and a newer application. The issue is, what is the probability of actually reaching out to the masses? The EV development has actually given that Kickstarter to go down to the realities. And why do I say a reality? Is because we all are aware that 70% of the import bill of our on the petrol and diesel that we undertake, the 70% is utilized by the two-wheelers in this country. So that particular market was a very important market if we had to actually bring down our import bills for the country. Electrical two-wheelers has provided us that. When we talk about the hydrogen, the application in the heavier vehicles makes a lot of sense. But the network to develop the hydrogen availability, so hydrogen is available after you've gone through a process of electrolysis. Those electrolysis have to be manufactured in this country before we can reach that, and these networks have to be created. So what is the easier aspect? Right now, after a fuel distribution system, electricity distribution is already an aspect available in the country. How do we enhance and utilize that? And how do we develop future applications is a process of development. So every technology is going to be an add-on for us in the country.
So, Singh, how do you look at the EV adoption in the country? For example, like if I drive an electric vehicle, for me, range anxiety is a genuine problem. So whenever I drive, even if I want to charge an electric four-wheeler, it takes around 1 to 2 hours for even with fast charger. So it takes that much time. While when I drive an IC vehicle, it takes like 5 minutes hardly to refuel my vehicle. So how do you look at this concept?
So the advantage is that you can charge your EV at home. So only if you are going long distance, then you need to charge it on the way, on the highway. Otherwise, a home charger will suffice. So you really don't need to go to a petrol pump to fill in the petrol. When you reach home, you plug it in the morning, it's charged. And that is if you're traveling in the city, and maybe your charge lasts 3 days, 4 days, depending on how many kilometers you do. Yes, there is an issue of range anxiety, and that is what CPOs like us and others are trying to address, and the government is trying to address. Charges are coming up on the highway, and as we go along. And the other thing is the battery capacities are increasing. One side, the battery capacities are increasing. The other side, the charging speeds are increasing. So today we're normally talking about 30 or 60 kilowatt chargers. But, cars like Audi and Porsches and Mercedes, they can charge at 200 kilowatts. This will be adopted in cheaper cars. It will be adopted in Kias and MG and Hyundai and other cars. And as this progresses, your charging times will definitely come down. And a lot of charges are coming up on the highways. So this will address range anxiety, larger capacity batteries. It will change. Obviously, it's a new technology. It's an evolution. There is some time.
So I think I need to take you back to what Vivo was for all of us. And that was an experience that everybody was relating to. We've all grown up with that. But obviously from where it was and to where we are today, with vehicles coming from the international brands, the local brands, I think the evolution in technology is happening very fast. The downsides have been recognized by the car manufacturers. And I think a standard range of more than 250, 300 kilometers for a four-wheeler is becoming standard. Even if you drive in a city which is heavily laden with traffic, you are sure that you have a 150, 200 easy charge availability in case you need to charge. Is the reason why the fast charger application is becoming a norm. 60 kilowatt plus chargers are something that you would be seeing very commonly as we go forward. And that's where I think the range anxiety factor is going to be met with. Not to forget, the idea behind our mobile EV charger was exactly this, that wherever you are stuck or wherever you are feeling that you are down and are not available, you can actually go onto the app, book the vehicle, it'll come to you, charge you up, you can continue to your work.
Also, I'd like to add one more thing, that 10 years ago, we thought of EVs as a very boring car. Today, EVs have become very exciting cars. They are fast, they are modern, they have all the gadgets. In fact, some of them are even more modern than the ICE engine cars.
Yeah.
So that factor of boringness has gone away. You know, we saw it in movies and earlier, maybe 10, 20 years ago, slow EVs. That's no longer the case.
Not to forget, adding on to Zadie, not to forget cars like BMW providing autonomous, you're really going to get bored sitting, not doing anything in the car. So I think we have the upside and downside for both.
You spoke about fast charging as one of the options for this, but fast charging does have some adverse effects on the battery life also. So that people say that the total cost of ownership of electric vehicles is less, but that eventually increases the total cost of ownership. So how do you see that?
So yes, fast chargers are detrimental to the battery, but you won't be fast charging every time. You will only be fast charging when it's required. Otherwise, most societies, most housing places, they are now putting EV chargers. A lot of builders are even talking to us for providing infrastructure for EVs in the new constructions as well as old constructions. So if you've charged your car at home or at the apartment, that's slow charging, and that does not damage the battery. It's only when you're traveling out or going outside and you need to top up and it's an emergency, or you're going outstation, that's when you will go to the fast chargers.
So Utkarsh, adding on to Zadie, today when we buy smartphones, we have an option of fast charging. The technology has changed. The fast charging also is not pushing the battery to a certain perspective where it's going to get spoiled. It is a fast charge based upon a certain element of management, which is actually going to give you a faster result now. As very truly what Zadie said, you're not going to do it all the time. The issue is that you need to have access when you want it. Only then the range anxiety is met, and actually the cost effectivity of actually being on an electrical vehicle can be experienced.
And the technology, battery technology is also evolving very fast.
So also, I want to understand from you, as the number of electric vehicles increase, this will increase the load on the charging grids also. And India is a country where we usually see power cuts and all this. So how do you manage that? Have you partnered with any companies, or what's the solution for this?
So, the grids of the country all across the world, it's nothing that we need to blame our country. But grids across the world were not designed to have this extra supercharge happening all the time. Everybody is realizing the need, and slowly and steadily the changes are being looked upon. We talk about continuity of electricity. The continuity of electricity can be a downtime anywhere at any time. I think we are putting up infrastructure where we have servers which are alive all the time. So we have battery backups. And I think that is exactly where the focus of the company was, to be in the energy storage and do that required mix of energy storage with the applicability of the systems to be up at 24/7. And that's one of the aspects that in the mobility area, in the EV mobiles, EV charging systems that we are developing up. It could be a mobile service. It also can be a static mobile service also, where you have a constant availability of battery storage charge available for you. So your charges are uptime at 24/7. And I think these are the evolutions that we are talking about. Supporting the grid, supporting the owner of an EV vehicle, and how you can actually ensure that there is a complete serviceability all the time.
Also, India aspires to be capturing the 30% market share by 2030. And so that requires much charging infrastructure. So what's the current strength of charging infrastructure in India, and how fast is it growing overall in general?
If you frankly ask me, the hiccups obviously have been there. I think the bodies involved in the entire development process with regards to the site allocations, the site managements, the discoms coming up with the appropriate availability for the linkage. When we are talking about 60 kilowatts, we are obviously concerned about how it's going to be made available at that particular point. And hence, I think as clarities have got drawn in over the past 4 years, today the processes seem to be very, very clearer, better. More bodies have come into the play. I think the biggest player in this country have been in our country has been the OMCs, the Indian Oils, the BPCL, and the HPC, who have the platform of fuel servicing for every vehicle owner. Now, they have delayed their adoption of the EV charging, which is expected to happen this year onwards. Biggest push would be there. The government of India has taken up all the state centers, bodies have got more organized in utilizing these spaces that are available with the government, which are going to be planned out for giving out. And I think as the rise of the vehicle is happening, we have been experiencing rise of the four-wheelers in the past 8 to 9 months with the new vehicles that have come. In the coming to 8-9 months, we are expecting many more vehicles to come. And I think that's where the chicken and egg, as we are always going to be surviving in our growth factor, the aspect of the development is being undertaken very positively, I would say, and opportunities are happening. The state governments are coming alive with their policies, EV policies, EV tenders. So we have a lot that is happening at this moment in time. And I think 2030, yes, I think very doable. We're sitting in 23. I think in matter of 2 years' time, the jump on this is going to happen. So I believe that the infra will pick up the speed as we see the development of the EV vehicles.
Also, the learning, there was a learning curve. It was a curve. So it's now going up. People are understanding what it is all about, what is required, and putting it all together. And honestly, there's a huge support from the government.
Well, the time will tell how fast the infrastructure will pick up. But with this, I'd like to close this interview. Thank you so much for joining us here.